What's up today, 49ers faithful? Happy Friday to you. Drew Kerr, 49ers Sports Talk. Today I've got a fun show for you. I've recreated Nick Wright's Mahomes Mountain, and I'm calling it Purdy's Pinnacle. Please stay tuned.
So, clear out the room, I'm coming through, they wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill, I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it, I'm today's trending topic.
Before we get too far into my rankings, we're just going to go ahead and take a quick look at Nick Wright's way too early Mahomes Mountain rankings.
First, though, so as you know, it's a maximum of 28 people on the mountain because it's a 7-level mountain. So that means these guys not on it. Yeah. Drake May, you're going to be a top 3 pick. You couldn't quite make it. Will Levis, I actually like some things I saw from you. You're not going to make it. Everyone else knows they're not going to make it.
Why is Daniel Jones not on the mountain?
Because he was barely on the mountain before he got hurt. Now we got to see him. I don't know. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. The Daniel Jones mountain, you and Greg Jennings can scale it together. None of those guys are on the mountain. Some of them won't be starters. Row 7, not bad, by the way. Most of these guys, you have some level of optimism that they can bounce back or get back to their previous selves. Of all the guys, and Jaden Daniels, if you're the Patriots, I think he's the guy you hope falls to 3. Obviously, he's a rookie, so you can't put him too high up. Anthony Richardson is the guys on this level that I personally have the most optimism in. I thought he looked really good before he got hurt. Row 6, what a jam-packed row. 2 number 1 picks. The last 2 quarterbacks to lose in the Super Bowl. A 4-time MVP. Tua Tagovailoa was the MVP favorite at one point this season. That's how stacked the offseason edition of the Mountain is. Those are the names on level 6. Now, to level 5. Jordan Love might be too low. I'm not sure. And listen, I understand. I get it. I get it. People are going to say, people are going to say Trevor is too high.
Yeah.
But Trevor Lawrence has been called by many people Peyton Manning 2.0, and everyone knows that Peyton around this time of his career had the playoffs year with Jim Mora where it didn't work out and it turned out just fine for him. Caleb is maybe a touch too low, and shout out to 2 of our last pure just drop back passers. Not going to beat you with our legs, Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. Kirk was playing great this year until he got hurt. Jared Goff played well throughout. 4th row, wow talent, all with their own question marks. For Stafford, it's about age and injury at this point. That is the question mark with him. For Lamar and Dak, it is, can you replicate what you've done in the regular seasons, in the postseason? And for Herbert, it is, when will the eye test line up with the standings? When will, because we all understand how talented he is and the wow stuff he can do, but the wins have not come along with it. All right, 3rd row, these guys are all unquestioned studs. And if you are a coach of any of these teams, you are saying, you know what, maybe if our guy plays his A game, he can go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and win. Burrow did it once. CJ hasn't had the opportunity. Josh Allen has come as close as you can without actually winning the game, but has played well in most of those playoff appearances. Row 2. Totally vacant because nobody deserves to be within 1 row of the best quarterback we've ever seen, the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, the greatest start to an NFL career we've ever seen, Patrick bleeping Mahomes II. That is the way too early edition, coach, of Mahomes Mountain. Prove me right.
You're way too early in anticipating me agreeing with you that much. I have a lot of questions, but the first.
I actually agree wholeheartedly with Eric Mangini. Lots of questions, Coach. Lots of questions, Nick. I'm not going to get too far into it. It is what it is. He has some really weird things there. He doesn't even have a second tier. He thinks that Mahomes is some sort of football god, apparently, in his mind. He's pretty good, but he's not a football god. And so anyway, I'm going to get into my own. Before we do that, I'm going to take a look at the QBR. Just one thing to note, Mahomes is 8th in QBR. He was not great with interceptions last year for the regular season. Obviously, in the playoffs, he did a little bit better. But there were some flaws in Mahomes' game last year, and I think they were pretty glaring. So, I think, we'll just take a look. So just really quickly, I just want to go through the top 15. I'm not really concerned with 16 through 30. I didn't use this as a baseline for my own rankings. I had my own philosophy and theories, so I didn't do that, but I just wanted to look at this really quick just to kind of give us an idea of how these quarterbacks performed in terms of QBR, which is an advanced stat that ESPN uses. So I'm just going to run through the list really quick. First, obviously, was Brock Purdy. Second, Dak Prescott. Third was Josh Allen. Fourth, Lamar Jackson. Fifth was Justin Herbert. Sixth, Matthew Stafford. Seventh, Kirk Cousins. Eighth, Patrick Mahomes. Ninth, Jordan Love. 10th, Tua Tagovailoa. 11th, Jared Goff. 12th, Jalen Hurts. 13th, Gardner Minshew. 14th, Geno Smith. And 15th was CJ Stroud. Just want to note that Joe Burrow is 20th. He was playing pretty much injured all year. Otherwise, he for sure would have finished top 15, if not top 5. Okay, so I'm just going to roll it out here. In order to get to the mountain, you have to start in the foothills first. So we're going to start with what I'm calling the hill, which will cover the bottom half rankings of the quarterbacks. And so I'm going to hop right into it right away. Tier 5, we have Bryce Young, Penix Jr., Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Mac Jones. It's still sort of up in the air as to whether or not Mac Jones will get another year starting as the starter, or if the Patriots will draft somebody like Jaden Daniels or one of the other quarterbacks. Maybe Penix Jr. falls. Maybe they grab him and get lucky. I think he is probably the best rookie in this class, but you have to start with all the rookies at the bottom. I do think Penix Jr., Caleb Williams, and Drake May are starters in the NFL. I think that they'll struggle. Obviously, these rookies go to bad teams, so they're not going to have quite the surrounding and supporting cast that they'll need to flourish in their respective programs. So with that is tier 5. The rookies have to work their way up. Nick Wright had Caleb Williams I think he had him in tier 3, tier 4, somewhere like that, and that's just crazy to me. So he's not established, and he's actually kind of entitled. So anyway, I'm starting all the rookies at the bottom because they have to earn it. You're not just going to get handed anything. So with that said, jumping into tier 4, we have Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson, Russell Wilson, and Will Levis. I think these guys are kind of all sort of in the same bracket there. Russ has a little bit more potential, I think, if he can find the right situation, but something's gone to his head. Sean Payton couldn't stand him. They're paying him a mad amount of money to stay or to leave. And so Russell Wilson might not even start in the NFL this year, which would be weird, but he kind of has earned that. So with that said, Justin Fields, if the Bears draft Caleb Williams, which everybody predicts they will, Justin Fields was probably going to go to one of the, he's probably going to go to like a Pittsburgh and Atlanta, maybe Minnesota, potentially Washington, maybe Vegas, maybe the Broncos. But anyway, I feel like he's a little bit more humble. He's a little bit more grounded than Caleb Williams. And for that, I think he's a better quarterback. And I think he'll continue to progress. If he does go to somewhere like Atlanta where they have, Pitts, they have Bijan Robinson, they've got Drake London, they've got a good young nucleus of guys, that could be kind of scary. So we'll see what happens. Free agency kicks off Monday, obviously. So we'll just see what happens. Jumping into tier 3, we have Derek Carr, Geno Smith, and Kyler Murray. I feel like these guys can maybe get up to tier 1, tier 2, tier 1 in the hill, and maybe somewhere in the middle of the season they can make it into tier 5 or 4 on Purdy's Pinnacle. So with that said, we will move on to tier 2. Tier 2 features Baker Mayfield, who I feel is very underrated. He's kind of got a bad rap in the NFL. So I think he's a lot better than what people give him credit for. He's above average in my opinion. And then, Deshaun Watson was elite when he was with Houston. Then he had all the trouble, the off-field stuff. And he just hasn't been the same since. But I do think that if he can stay healthy, that's been another concern of his. If he can stay healthy, he can get up to, tier 1, which is only one player, or potentially into Purdy's Pinnacle. So that said, Moving on up, Tier 1. There's only one player in Tier 1 on my Pinnacle. In this case, the Hill. And Tier 1, that's Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I think, struggled really bad last year. He was sort of exposed. After the Niners had played him, kind of everybody was, figured it out how to stop him, kind of how to stop the Eagles, to be honest. So, with that, I think that, he still is the best of the bottom half quarterbacks. And, as we get into the season and as the season starts, I'm going to continue to do this series, and we will adjust as needed. So Hurts could very well find his way into the top 15. And so with that, we will move on. I just wanted to make note of this. We did, I forgot to include, I omitted Daniel Jones. So I think that, Nick Wright's list, he left him off completely. But I think Daniel Jones does deserve a spot, at least on the Hill, for me, in my opinion. He's sort of streaky. He's not, mega consistent, but, he does belong. And he will probably start for the Giants. So just wanted to throw him in as as somebody who I forgot. There's also Jaden Daniels that didn't make the list, and J.J. McCarthy and some others. So I just wanted to, honorably mention them because they could make it onto this list at some point in the season. Okay, at the bottom tier, we're going to have Jordan Love. We're going to have Jared Goff. We're going to have Kirk Cousins. We're going to have Trevor Lawrence. And we are going to have Tua Tagovailoa. So with that said, I think that, Jordan Love is probably on the fringe there. Jared Goff probably deserves a little bit more credit, but I just think that the top 4 tiers are just a little bit better there. Kirk Cousins is kind of there with Jared Goff. Same with Trevor Lawrence. I kind of view them all in the same bracket. Tua is definitely, he was in the MVP talks last year. So this is all fluid. This is going to remain fluid throughout the season. Guys are going to move up. Guys are going to move down. Some guys are going to get injured. And it's just going to be sort of a revolving door with Purdy's Pinnacle. And so with that said, going to jump into Tier 4. Tier 4 features Lamar Jackson, C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert, and Aaron Rodgers. Now, these guys all could very well be in Tier 3. They all have the capability to be there in Tier 3. Aaron Rodgers is a multi-MVP. Justin Herbert now has Jim Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's sort of been the quarterback whisperer, and, he helped Alex Smith revive his career, and he kind of helped him get over the hump, and then he moved on to go to Kansas City with Andy Reid. So I think that Herbert's going to be a lot better than he has been in years past. C.J. Stroud, last year's Rookie of the Year, he was phenomenal. I do think that, I'm not sure if he's going to have a sophomore slump. I think he's got a very good program. I think DeMeco Ryans is a hell of a coach. So I do think that he is going to potentially move up. It's a jam-packed crowd there. And so, Lamar, to me, he's only passed for 3,000 yards a couple times, maybe a few times in his career. He's just a little bit more of a running back to me. Passing the ball, he underwhelms me. He just isn't. To me, he was a fraudulent MVP last year. I believe that, out of Purdy, Josh Allen, and Dak Prescott, they definitely deserved it more than Lamar Jackson. So, that said, that's going to lead me right into Tier 3, which has Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and Dak Prescott. I think that Matthew Stafford, in terms of a pure passer, he might be one of the best in the league. He might be, just a pocket quarterback. I think that Matt Stafford probably has that title to himself. Josh Allen is just, he's kind of just been in that area that gray area where he just cannot get past, the upper tier of playoffs and get into the Super Bowl. And now, Buffalo's kind of cutting a lot of people, and it'll be interesting to see what Buffalo does this year. So, but I still view him as one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Dak Prescott has a phenomenal surrounding supporting cast, and I think that, he is elite until he gets to the playoffs, and then for some reason he just cannot sustain it. It's a whole nother level in the playoffs, and Dak just always falls flat. It doesn't mean he's going to continue to do that through the remainder of his career, but that's just sort of been his MO. Moving on to tier 2, and this is where I'm probably going to catch a lot of heat, but I don't care. Everybody views Patrick Mahomes as this football god, but statistically he wasn't great. He wasn't great in the regular season at all. Chiefs weren't great in the regular season at all. He threw a bunch of picks. He fumbled the ball, here and there. And, QBR was 8th to me. That's not the best quarterback in the league. Yes, he did win the Super Bowl, but that's a team accomplishment. He had a layup at the end of the game to Miracle Hardman. He was wide open. I feel like I could have made that pass. My grandma could have made that pass. You could have made that pass. Anybody could have made that pass. He was wide open. He walked into the end zone. It was embarrassing, and I do believe that's why Steve Wilkes is not here anymore. He just kind of let Mahomes just drive right down the field. There was nothing to put any pressure on it. There was nothing to do anything to Mahomes. But when Mahomes was rattled in the regular season, he shrunk, and there was just, Wilkes just didn't find a way. He wasn't able to produce that. And then next to him, I have Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has beaten Mahomes in the playoffs. He did go to the Super Bowl. And I think when Joe Burrow is healthy, he could potentially push, Brock Purdy is my number 1. And, Burrow could push Purdy for his top spot on the mountain. And the reason that I have Brock Purdy as number 1 is he dominated statistically. He should have been the MVP. He brought his team back in the playoffs. He put the team on his back against Green Bay. He put the team on his back in the championship game. He played almost a flawless game in the Super Bowl. No turnovers. And I feel like he was the best quarterback, hands down, without question. Nick Wright can kiss my butt. Brock Purdy was number 1, and he will stay number 1 heading into 2024. Barring any setbacks, barring any injuries, and if he continues on the path that he's on, and the arrow continues to trend up, Brock Purdy will stay on the top of his own pinnacle. As always, thanks for staying till the end, guys. Really appreciate it. If you want to stay engaged, if you're new here, please subscribe, please like, and I will continue to update Purdy's Pinnacle and the Hill. And hopefully, as the season continues, this, like I said, will remain fluid. But if you did enjoy it, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Have a good weekend.